Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Campfire Stories Lockdown Edition. Today I've got Mike with me, who's going to be sharing a story from his guiding days. Hello Mike, how are you?
Hey Trev, well man, good to see you, and yes, your fire looks amazing, I have to be honest.
Nice and warm, especially on these cold winter mornings, eh?
Yeah, geez, man. I posted an image on Instagram today reminiscing about the hot late morning sun in the Amboseli.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's freezing. I went out for a run this morning and yes, it was ice cold.
Really?
So I unfortunately don't have a fire with me. I've got a cup of coffee. That's keeping the hands a bit warm. Yeah, all good and great to see you, and thank you for inviting me onto this series. It's going to be exciting. It's fun.
Cool. So you've got a story for us.
I do. And it's a story that comes way back, or goes way back, to my guiding days, my lodge-based guiding at Sabi Sabi. And yeah, it was quite a eventful evening, to say the least. And obviously, as a guide, and I'm sure you would have kind of planned your day-to-day activities with guests that you had on board your vehicle. There was a plan that kind of fell into place, and it wasn't just kind of racing around and what you see is what you see. There were obviously certain species that you try to focus on a particular safari. And on this afternoon, I had a bunch of Arabian guests who were in their full kit. I mean, they had their flipping pieces of material wrapped all around them, around their heads. They were like full-on Arabs, but great people. And I don't know, on a safari, when I was guiding guests, I hated approaching a sighting where there were sleeping cats, may it be lion, may it be leopard. So I always used to try and plan a safari that I would tick off the things that are active during the early afternoon hours. So like the thick-skinned animals, your elephant, your rhino, buffalo, things like that. The smaller species speak about the area we're in, the trees, the geology of the area. You know, it's like you'd build a whole entire safari experience. It wasn't just a tick off every box as quickly as you can type thing. But as I mentioned, I did not enjoy going to a pride of lion that were just lying there flat on their face sleeping. And so what I did this particular day is I was in contact with one of my guiding mates back then, Francois, and his plan was also for that evening was to go to two particular male lion that were referred to as the Four Ways males. They came in from Mala Mala side of the Sabi Sand, but they had started building dominance on Sabi Sabi's property, and we knew that they were found that morning close to a big watering hole that was in the far northwest of the reserve. So I obviously planned the whole route, what I was going to chat about that particular day or that afternoon, and make our way into that particular area. But we had stopped for sundowners prior, because these cats usually only get active much later into the evenings. So I stopped for a nice sundowner at about 5:30, because it was a winter's afternoon, and obviously the sun sets a lot sooner. So we stopped just before 5:30. We enjoyed a couple of drinks, or the guest did at least. I was driving, not allowed to drink. But we stopped, had a few snacks, watched the sun go down, and on that particular sundowner stop, we had a herd of elephant that came feeding through this open plains, this area called the Konkoni Plains, in the far kind of northern central part of the reserve. And it was just such a great way to enjoy a sundowner. And the guests knew. I briefed them and I told them that this afternoon's plan is going to be two male lion, gave them a bit of their history while we were having these snacks, about these cats, where they come from. So everyone was really excited to get up and going. After our drinks, jumped in the vehicle, slowly bumbled, and obviously there's a standby system, so you can't just race into a sighting. There were already guys sitting with these two lion, and we had called in and secured a standby. And yeah, when the time came, Francois was in the sighting along with another guy at Kwesi. And I was the last, I was standby number 2, and eventually when I got called in, there was no one else on standby behind us because it was already quite late, so a lot of the guides had made their way back to the lodge. They had a different plan, or they'd seen the line already. Sorry, what's that, Trev?
Did your plan work perfectly then?
It was great. Yes, it looks like that fire isn't treating you too well there. It looks like you're still getting really cold.
A little bit.
So, and there's a bit of a breeze around, so it doesn't help you. So just keep the fire under control, please, man. But yeah, I can see it. Do you have a fan set up there that's like blowing the but yes, the plan worked out perfectly. So I had approached the sighting, drove in, and yeah, I was quite upset because what were these cats doing? They were doing what they do best, and they were flat on their face, fast asleep. But there was something promising on the horizon. We were sitting, and while I was sitting on the door, looking back at my guests, chatting to them, telling them about lion behavior and why they sleep so much and why it's needed in a lion's life. And while I was chatting, I kind of gazed over the vehicle, and I saw a massive herd of buffalo coming through a drainage line right towards this watering hole we were at. And with this, obviously the lion kind of they started lifting their heads, they looked around a bit, started yawning, but remained fairly flat, so it didn't look too promising. But I had thought that these buffalo were going to come straight into the watering hole, and for some weird reason they didn't. They kind of bypassed it, and where we were allocated was this little like ridge line, was this little kind of hillside, and we were kind of midway up. And these buffalo kind of came around and then looped in behind us. But as they all spread out and they were busy grazing, because it was last light, there was still quite a fair amount of daylight left. A lot of the herd eventually looped behind us, went into the watering hole, had a good drink, and around this watering hole was a open plain. So a lot of them decided, okay, well, this is going to be the area we're going to call it a night and lay down to rest because it's open. They can see predators and pick up on predator movements a lot easier in these open areas.
At this point, how far were the lions from the buffalo?
Well, at that point, probably about just under 100 meters, I'd say. Okay, but as there was a massive herd, yes, there were probably about 500 or 600 buffalo. There were a lot of them. But as they were kind of feeding and still grazing, a lot of them still needed to fill up their tummies a bit for the night's ruminating activities. So a few of them still carried on grazing, and they ventured a lot further off than the others did. And they kind of ventured up onto this hillside and back around. But what was great is that because the majority of the herd had already went to go lay down behind us, which was about, I'd say, 8 meters behind us, there was a couple of stragglers, and it was the group that came around all the way in front of us were a small herd of male buffalo, some big boys. But then the lions started showing some interest because these animals were approaching, and they knew, okay, the herd's lying behind them. These males are still grazing, but they will eventually come down to the water to either drink or join the herd for security for the night's rest. But by this point, and I mean, we were sitting there and everyone was getting super excited, really hoping that these boys start getting up, getting mobile, and start stalking these buffalo. But where I was positioned, I was sitting in the vehicle, facing kind of upwards. The watering hole was behind us, and my vehicle was kind of facing the horizon in front of us at this crest, at the edge of this little crest. And because it was now, by the time these buffalo got really close, it was really dark. And I had a male lion lying right next to my vehicle because he had come up and kind of just sniffed around and then lay down about 4 meters next to us. But Francois and Kwesi were positioned quite far to the right of me, behind this thick round piece of vegetation. And because the other male, obviously escaping the heat of the day, he was lying next to this. So they were positioned there. So as we were chatting and we saw, and all we could see now wasn't a full buffalo. We could just see a silhouette of these buffalo walking on this crest in front of us, but slowly creeping, as they were grazing, creeping closer and closer and closer towards us, which obviously got these lions extremely excited because they knew these buffalo were coming directly towards us or towards them to make their way back to the herd to go lie down. And what had happened is I was chatting to Chrissy and Francois, and obviously, and you'd know, buffalo, you do not want to get in their way. If they stampeding or running or something's chasing them, you do not want to be in a buffalo's way, because this is bad news. So during our chats, this male next to me had already gotten up and walked to his brother, and they kind of started looping because there were these, on this crest, there were big marula trees, but a lot of them. So they had good cover, kind of creeping between these marula trees and hiding behind them. And as I was chatting to Francois and Chrissy to the right of me, I said, okay, guys, listen, I'm just going to quickly start my vehicle because you don't want to move much to disturb either the lion or the buffalo and mess up the hunt. But I knew, Flip, the quickest way for the buffalo to move is downhill, and that's going to be straight towards me. And what happened, so I told my guests, listen, guys, we're just quickly going to move back and just to ensure that if these lions chasing the buffalo around, we get out of harm's way. And we're going to go position ourselves next to Francois and Gerry. And they said, no, that's fine, that's cool. Everyone's super excited because these lions they were flat down and they're like really stalking slowly. And yes, bro, then this is when the manic stuff started happening. As I start, and now it's dark. We've already got our spotlights on because there's no more light. Yeah. As I start the vehicle, the lions take this, oh, brilliant, Mike's doing us a favor. Now we can start chasing these buffalo because they're not going to hear us coming because of the vehicle's engine rumbling. And all I heard was just, you know how those hooves, there were probably about 10 of these males, but like big male. Yeah. And all I hear is this, and they're running, bro. I'm like, oh, flip. Now I can't move because we can't see the buffalo. Tracker just kills his spotlight immediately because they'll run straight towards the light. Yeah. But as he puts us down, all we can see are these massive horns and these bosses dipping into that purple blue sky, dipping above that or rising above that crest, and you see this horn, and then they disappear, and then they come, then they disappear, and every time they reappear, they get larger and larger every single time. Now, I switched off the engine because now I can't move because I'm scared if I move and reverse backwards, they're running in that line, they're going to smash the vehicle. And my guest was like, what now? I'm like, guys, just hold on. I don't know what's happening. We don't know where these buffalo are. And all of a sudden, they get close enough, and I've only got, as I said, I put my lights off, but my tracker was holding his light between his legs. Yeah. So there was a little bit of light shining up, and we could see, okay, yes, they're very close now. And we had majority of the group ran left of us and they went around, but the lions were targeting the 3 that were coming or the 4 that were coming straight towards us. And eventually I see these animals coming directly, like in line, couldn't be more accurate, directly in line with us, running straight towards us. And I told my guests, guys, I don't know what's going to happen yet. Just hold on to your cameras, hold on to everything. I don't know what's going on. And all I remember, and it happened so quick, it felt like an eternity, but it was really quick. But I saw these 4 male coming straight towards us, lions still coming in from the right behind the marula trees. And all I remember is I saw this one kind of buffalo head appear in front of my vehicle, about 5 meters in front of it. And as he landed, he kind of whooshed around and veered off to the side, to the right of the vehicle. And he came flying, like, I kid you not, I could feel the gust of wind like hit me in the face as he came flying past. If I had put my hand out the side, or if my guest had a hand or a leg outside the vehicle, this buffalo would have knocked us. Yeah. So the first guy zoomed past, second and third guy all just made it past my vehicle. But the 4th guy wasn't so lucky because obviously every time when the first buffalo veered off, he was about 5 meters away. The next buffalo was about 4 meters away, 3 meters away. And then the last guy didn't have enough time. And all I remember, yes, and it was like slow motion. It was hectic. This buffalo, I see this thing right in front of us. And by now, my tracker had already like turned because of the tracker seats on the front of the vehicle with their legs dangling down in the front. So he had lifted his legs and put it on the bonnet. And he was just holding onto his backrest, like with his feet up on the bonnet holding, because this buffalo is coming straight for him. And I'm just telling my guests, hold on. And all I remember is I see this buffalo jump. And I see his hooves kind of folded in and his head coming over the bonnet. And I thought, flip, this buffalo is going to get on the bonnet and jump on us. I thought, today is the day I'm buying today. So I just told my guests, hold on. I screamed to Fee asked my tracker, hold on. And I just hold my head and I fell to the side and I kind of just lay down because I didn't know if this buffalo was coming in or...
Yeah.
Yes, and suddenly as he jumped, everything happened so quickly. I just said, hold on. And I fell to the side, and I just felt this knock. It felt like I smashed into a brick wall. And a gunshot. This was like a gunshot. It was like, bah! And that bang just silenced everything around us. I mean, there wasn't a call. Guests, it was like everyone stopped breathing. And as he hit, I lay there for probably about a second or two. Then I realized, okay, the buffalo's not on the bonnet, and he's not going to come and jump on me and maul me. So I got back up. And the first thing I asked, Fios was on the front, and he was busy pulling his legs around to the side again, or to the front. And I asked him, Fio, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. And I asked him again, are you sure? You are perfectly fine. You can move your legs. You're not hurt. He's like, no, he's fine. He's okay. And now I'm thinking, flip. And then I turn to the guests, and I'm like, are you guys fine? And they're loving this experience. They're like, yeah, we're fine. And I'm like pooping myself, thinking, yes, myself or Fee or even the guests are going to flip and die today. Yeah. I look over to the right where Francois and Quincy are sitting, and they all like look, and their eyes are like huge. All the guests, everyone's just like looking at us. And I'm thinking, flip, where's this buffalo? Where are the lion? And eventually I just asked Fios, where's the buffalo? He's like, no, he ran off. He made it. Because with this massive bang, I think the lion also got such a fright as well. It sounded like a gunshot. Like, bah! Yeah. So these lions kind of halted suddenly, and they just stopped. And what the hell was that? Yeah. Eventually, buffalo made their way down to the herd. They were fine. But I was I was rattled. And the front, we were still in Land Rovers at the time. It was before Sabi had purchased the Land Cruisers. Yeah. But the front of the vehicle, I kid you not, if this was the front of the vehicle over here, if you look at it from the top view, my bonnet and the front of my vehicle looked like that.
Oh, wow.
From where that buffalo had hit us. Now, I was so rattled. I get onto the radio, call my safari general manager. I told him what just happened. Because we had obviously, the lions moved off. They knew that the hunt was over because with that bang, the whole herd, like, what the hell was that? Yeah. And the guy who just escaped, that big buffalo rammed us, probably went and told him, listen, guys, there's a lion here. Let's just be alert. So eventually the lions moved off, but the excitement was over. The day was done. We drove off a short distance to get to a safe area, stopped in a big open area to assess the vehicle. And that's when I saw that the front of my safari vehicle was like indented. There was a massive V. Radiator was leaking. But yes, it was a flippin' scary experience. I honestly thought this buffalo was going to jump onto the bonnet and get into the vehicle. Because if he did, if he managed to get up onto that bonnet and find traction to kind of crawl his way into the vehicle.
Even if he just rolled over your car, I mean, like that's close to like a ton of animal just rolling over everybody.
A chunk of pure muscle, just hitting us. And I mean, but I remember very clearly when that animal hit our vehicle, Trevor, it honestly felt like I was driving at about 50 k's an hour, just smashing into a wall. That shock that animal's momentum hit through that vehicle was unbelievable. It was crazy. Yeah. But when we started assessing this vehicle, just to make sure that I can still drive because we were far from the lodge, that I can still drive from here to the lodge, we started shining the torch. Radiator was leaking. This was an issue, but we could get back. But parts of that buffalo's like boss, like chunks of skin from his face and hair, and pieces of his horn were stuck in the grill of the vehicle where he had rammed it. There were pieces of this buffalo in and on the vehicle. It was a manic experience. And the funniest thing is, we were still sitting in that sighting. I just started chatting to Fee because I told the guests a lot of information about these lion, the buffalo herd behind us, and then some hunting behaviors and techniques, and something we can start getting excited about because of these males coming around this crest. And for some odd reason, we got to chatting, and myself and the guest had asked Fee, has he ever been in a life-threatening situation while sitting on this tractor seat? And he said, yeah, well, he's had lions hunting impala before on that Concordia Plains where we enjoyed our sundowners. And this male impala ram came running, escaping lioness that were hunting him. But in his escape, he couldn't dodge the vehicle soon enough. And again, all Fee could do was lift up his legs and turn them to the side onto the bonnet, and this impala rammed his horn straight into where Fios's legs would have been.
Oh, wow.
So if he didn't move his legs, he would have an impala horn stuck through him. But the crazy thing then is that incident did not stop the lions chasing. Because this impala is now stuck in this, his horns are entwined in this grid and he can't get out. And literally Fios sat with his legs turned up onto the vehicle, literally looking, it's not even a meter. I mean, this impala's head's 40, 50 centimeters away from him. And the Southern Pride just come in and maul this impala right below it. And he's sitting there and he's got lions and there's paws swiping past his legs here as they're like grabbing onto this impala, ripping him apart. And then about 20 minutes later, this incident happened. This buffalo tried to jump onto my bonnet. It was insane. Absolutely insane.
Crazy. So basically you don't want him as your tracker.
No, he's a good man. He's a good man. He was the head tracker at Sabi Sabi. So he had great experience and he knew exactly what to do in that situation. But yes, they're brave men. I mean, things can happen so quickly. But yeah, I'm just so fortunate that he came out okay, myself, the guests, and then obviously lucky Buffalo, if he's still around and still living, he probably thinks of that day every single day of his life. From the moment it happened, it was insane. And quite an adrenaline-filled afternoon. Yeah. And I still, because I briefed my guests and I briefed every group of guests that I'd host, and I'll tell them about the plan and this is how it's going to kind of work out this afternoon and what we're going to try and find. And they had asked me, Mike, was this part of your plan? How did you manage to pull this off? So I said, well, I can promise you this incident is something that no one can ever plan. I mean, in all my years of guiding at Sabi, no one had been bashed by any animal.
Yeah.
I mean, in the three and a half years I was there, I think I was the only guy to kind of tick that one off. That was pretty crazy.
That's awesome. That's an awesome story, Mike. Shot for sharing it. I appreciate it.
Man.
Very, very exciting. I hope that all the people that watched this enjoyed as much as I did.
Cool, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Anytime. It was fun. And I look forward to future episodes. It's going to be exciting.
Cool.
Reliving these moments are great. It gets you through.
It's nice to share them with other people.
Exactly. And as you had said in your first episode, it's always great sitting around a campfire, maybe in the Mara or wherever you're hosting a safari, and you share previous safari experiences because it's great. It gets you going. It's a lot of fun.
It's great. Mike, thank you so much. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will catch up with all of you soon. Mike,
cool.
For the rest of your day.
Thanks, and you too, man. And thanks to this great episode, my fire has died. I've got ice coffee now. Cool, man. Have a good one, Trev. Thanks, everyone. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.